Kombucha is a health drink that has supposed benefits of immune support, joint health, detoxifying your body, and digestive aids, among other things. The thing is, kombucha, if you buy it at the store, is fairly expensive. Sometimes $5 or more for just a little bottle. I wanted to show you how to brew it yourself, so it's a much more affordable option, and it's really not that hard. To get started, you only need a few things. Something to heat up some water with, tea with caffeine in it, sugar. You also need a SCOBY, or a kombucha starter. If you have a friend or family member who's already brewing their own kombucha tea, each time they brew it, it comes with an extra SCOBY, or there's like the mother and the baby SCOBY. Just ask them for one of theirs because there's always a new one every time. If you don't have someone you know who is brewing kombucha, there's online resources where you can buy a kombucha starter. Sometimes you can get them at health stores, and some people even say you can start your own with just a bottle that you buy from the store. There are lots of different ways to brew kombucha. This is just the way that I do, that works for me, that I like. Kombucha is all about kind of figuring out what taste you prefer and the brewing process to get that taste. Okay, so I am brewing only a half gallon of kombucha tea. So for a half gallon, I'm going to need 6 to 7 cups of water, and I'm only gonna fill it up, I think 6 cups this time. I'm gonna put this water on the stovetop to start heating up. It doesn't have to be boiling, you need the water hot enough to dissolve sugar. If this is your second batch of kombucha tea, you will have already brewed kombucha, like I do in this kombucha jar. And you can see in there the SCOBYs, which are those materials on the bottom. To take out the SCOBYs, I always disinfect my hands with vinegar. I do not want to use soap because soap can actually harm the kombucha SCOBY. I am now going to take out the SCOBYs and save about a cup of this already brewed tea for the next batch that I'm brewing right now. So then you'll have one to keep and one to toss. This is usually just a good size, just like a small one. You don't need a monster SCOBY like this. At this point, if you wanted to do another jar, you could do another jar and use both SCOBYs. Or this could be one you're giving to a friend or family. Or if you have chickens, it's good to give to your chickens. I'm gonna pour some kombucha tea over that to keep it moist. Set that aside. And now I'm just gonna put them into the glass jars. Mason jars or anything is fine. So you don't want any metal touching your kombucha tea. So a lot of people will get plastic lids for their mason jars. I don't do that. I am usually just pretty careful that no kombucha touches the lid, and I go ahead and just use the normal lid. Next, I'm gonna rinse this with some hot water just to kind of disinfect it a little bit, and maybe I'll rinse a little bit of the vinegar in it. Now I'm going to cover my kombucha SCOBYs with the clean cloth that I'm gonna use to cover the jar with when I'm all done. And now I'm gonna go back over to where the water is heating up, and I'm gonna add half a cup of sugar. And I'm gonna stir the sugar into the hot water until it is pretty much dissolved. Now that the sugar is dissolved into the hot water, you can add your tea bags, just making sure that there's some caffeine in it. And I'm using 5 tea bags. You're basically just waiting for the water, tea, sugar mixture to cool down to about lukewarm. You just don't want it to be too hot before you add in the kombucha because that can harm the kombucha SCOBY. Next, it's just the final part. It's super easy. I'm gonna go ahead and sanitize my hands again with the vinegar, and then I am going to pour the tea mixture into the glass jar. So I've got about 5 cups of the tea in here, which is a little less than I would like. I'd like about 6. So I probably should have put in a little bit more water, but it's gonna be fine. So at this point, you don't wanna be using anything that has metal on it because you're now going to be transferring the SCOBY into the tea to make the kombucha tea. And like I said, you don't want any metal to interact with that. I'm just gonna take the SCOBYs. You don't have to use both, but I'm gonna use both. I'm just gonna stick them in. I'm gonna stick in the tea, the old kombucha tea. And here we are. I'm just gonna cover it with a clean towel. I just use a hairband, like so. Then you're gonna go ahead and put this in a cool, dark space. I usually put mine in my cupboard above my stove, and you'll let it brew for at least 7 days, 7 to 30 days, but it's really up to you on the taste you want. The longer you let it brew, the more vinegar taste it will have. And then once it's done brewing, you'll just repeat the process. Well, I hope you liked this video. Thumbs up if you did. Leave a comment below if you brew your own kombucha already, or if you try this and how it works out for you. I'd like to know. And be sure to subscribe because we put out new videos every Monday and Wednesday, and we actually do live vlogs every Saturday. Be where your feet are. Bye. Whew. Left that in way too long. Woo! It's really vinegary.